Paul George's return showed some good things, a lot of things that he wasn't happy with. We'll dissect all of that next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen today. I'm Keith Pompey. My co-host Kayla Santiago isn't with us this morning, but I just want to let y'all know your favorite podcast now has a newsletter introducing the Locked On 76ers daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. That's Locked On Daily, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On 76ers newsletter. Well, look, here we go. Paul George made his debut on Monday night. It was, to me, I like what I saw. I really did. He didn't really like what he did, and I understand 100%. He felt like he had a bad debut. And when you look at the stats, you'll say to yourself, like, yeah, he didn't play particularly well. Looking at the stats, he had 15 points. He shot 4 for 14. He was 1 for 7 on 3. He made 6 or 7 foul shots. He had 5 rebounds. All 5 of them were in the defensive end. He had 4 assists. He had 3 personal fouls, and he had 7 turnovers, right? Now, it's weird because one box says 6 turnovers, the other one says 7. Paul had a chance to tie the game or win the game with 3.2 seconds left. He didn't really know. He thought the team was down 1, but they were actually down 2. So what he does is he switches on. He gets switched on to a really favorable matchup with Grayson Allen. He takes them, dribbles, boom, boom, fires up a 23-footer. It rims in, it rims out. Caleb Martin grabs the rebound. He fires it up to Maxey, but there's no time left on the clock. And Maxey, even if the shot would have gone, if there was time, it wouldn't have counted because he missed the 3. The Sixers dropped to 1-5. Paul George is not, satisfied with his performance. He felt as if that he played poorly, right? And again, like I said, I understand it. But at the same time, I do believe that I like what I saw. I mean, for this being his first one, right? So this is what he said about this, about his performance. He said, bad about this is basically what he said about the 3 that he missed. He said, I mean, again, that was a bad evaluation. I thought we were down 1. I thought when KD made the layup, that put them up 1. Otherwise, you go for 3 and you try to win the game instead of going for 2 to tie the game. So after watching the play again, that situation, we might not go for the win. So, I mean, I got the matchup. Kyle Lowry did a great job of putting a favorite matchup in that situation. I got a good look. It rimmed in and out. Live with that at the end of the day, right? I get what Paul is saying. I do. But when you look at, and I know this isn't the era and the age of moral victories, but when you look at how rusty he was, how fatigued he was, he played 31 minutes. I mean, he was on the minute restriction and he ended up playing 31 minutes. So you put all that into account and you understand that this guy, and you see the presence he had, it was good. Now, again, he started off rusty. I believe he missed his first 5 shots of the game. He didn't score in the first quarter. He was like 0 for 5. He had 3 fouls, right? Um, 2 turnovers. Um, and then early in the second quarter, 18 seconds in, he comes in and he scores. And then he hits a couple baskets. And then in the third quarter, you thought he was going to do something. And, because he came out on fire. He made 1 or 2 shots. He missed his first shot in the third quarter. And then he comes back and he gets the second one. And then after that, it was like he was a bystander when he was out there, right? I felt like they could have done a better job getting him involved. And then in the fourth quarter, he missed all 3 of his shots, right? So, but the presence when he was out there on the floor. Now I'm gonna say this: in the third quarter, though, when they took him out the game, Maxey kept the Sixers in the game with his play. He played extremely well. He was getting up and down. He was draining threes. He was on fire a little bit. So they didn't really need it from George. He was able to, when he came back in late in that quarter, it was like late, like within the final like 26 seconds. He was able to, from that point on, to be like the point forward. So he did a lot. He was getting teammates involved, and he was making the right play. He wasn't forcing things. You have Maxey, who was on fire. You had Gershon Yabusele, who was basically playing well. He was hitting threes. He had 19 points. He made 5 of 11 threes. So, this wasn't the time for Paul to go out there and rush things and try to make a name for himself. So with all that being said, I get what he's saying. Honestly do. I get what he's saying. But at the same time, I just felt like I like what I saw, y'all. I did. I like what I saw. I saw the vision of what they're trying to do. I really did. I saw the vision of what they're trying to do. Now but I also like the fact that he was unsatisfied, right? Some guys could come out and say, you know what? My first game back, I tried to do what I could. I'm not dissatisfied with this. We did this. We did a couple things good. We're just going to take his time. Nah, he stood up. He stood on it. Like, he's like, well, I feel like I had a poor performance. I was rusty. My shot wasn't falling. I had turnovers. He basically manned up, so to speak. But, I'm really looking forward to the next couple games. I think they're going to go to play the Clippers. It's going to be a homecoming for him on Wednesday. So, that's going to be exciting. Then they play the Lakers. But I think when they get back home next week is when we're going to see the conditioning get a little better. We're going to see other things. But you know what? I got to give Paul George all the power for the way he played and all the props. And again, I get it. He wasn't happy. He was not happy. But I feel like, he played a heck of a game, in my opinion. And he has nothing to hang his hat on. I felt like this was, under the circumstances, I felt like it was good. And I saw the vision and everything that he brings. So I'm not, I'm not upset with it. Hey, I want to talk to y'all about Gametime. So here's the deal. This summer, it was a great experience. I took my daughter to a WNBA game. She was in Las Vegas for nationals and age group nationals. And it was one of those things when in Vegas, we wanted to do something. So she wanted to go to an Aces game, a Las Vegas Aces game. They were playing at Dallas Swings and looking at prices and this and that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm always doing these ads about Gametime. Why don't I go out there and just see what I can do? The day of the game, y'all, the day of the game, I got some cheap tickets, great seats. I'm talking about in the lower bowl. We were like across from the visiting bench. The arena's so nice, you could see everything, and the tickets were dirt cheap. And I'm telling you, I went, and it was funny. At first, I was going to go to game. At first, I was going to go to other different apps. I'm not going to name those apps, but these are real popular apps, right? And I tried to look it up, and it was not the same prices. Gametime had the best thing for you, right? The thing about it is Gametime makes it easier to save more money on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Right? I mean, the views when I did, and even when I did before I went there, I went and did the panoramic view to see where my seat was going to be. And I'm telling you, it was the same thing. It was great from day one. So what I'm telling y'all to do is download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. So the thing is, though, with the Sixers, now, again, I'm not bad upset about what Paul George did. I feel like this is something that they could build upon. But the reality of the thing is they dropped to 1-5. And this has not been the season and that everybody expected, right? It's getting to a point now where the national media is here. There was two people, actually, last night, The Athletic had 3 reporters at the game. One to cover the team, the other one to do a big piece on the team in regards to its struggles and how do they get out of this funk and the whole nine, right? And then another guy was doing something on the Phoenix Suns, but it's crazy because the theme and the thing that everybody keeps talking about is how do we get out of this rut? There was a lot of expectations. There was high expectations beforehand. And how do we get out of this rut? And, it's just one of those things where it's just one of those things where you look at it and you say to yourself, this team had such high expectations, but I'm not, even though they look bad, I can't totally say that they're going to be a horrible team until I see Joel Embiid on the floor. And that's based off of what I saw yesterday. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I would like to see Paul. I know he was 4 for 14 and he plays in the flow of the game. But I would like to see at certain times where guys get him more involved, right? There was a couple times where he was open. I felt like Maxey could have passed him the ball. He didn't. I just think that type of guy, you got to get him baking a little bit more because what that's going to do is it's going to open everything up for everyone. Now, I get it. When he has the ball, he wants to be the distributor. He wants to get everybody else involved. But I feel like they need to do a better job of getting him involved, right? I think that will happen when Joel comes because Joel's going to create such a space and he's not going to draw such a crowd, meaning when he's dribbling, when he's going places talking about Paul George, that teams aren't going to crowd him because they know you can't leave Joel open. You can't do, it's going to create stuff for Maxey. So I think all that's going to work out. But, right now, they're one of the worst teams in the league. I am seeing some promise, though. And the promise that I'm seeing is that Yabusele, we got this guy, the Sixers got him. They came out, and he was a power forward. in the Olympics for France. Now they have him playing backup center. It got to a point where he played, I believe, the final 18 minutes of the game. Drummond was on the floor. Now, that could have contributed to his missing some threes late. He could have been fatigued, tired. Shots weren't falling. But to me, outside of Paul George, you have to say that he's if not the best, he's one of the best free agent acquisitions, right? So he played extremely well. So, I'm not going to be extremely critical of this team right now. I know that they look horrible without Paul George. I'm not going to lie. But I've seen some things in George that makes me realize that this team will be good. Or I don't know, good enough to come out of the East. I don't see that. No, I don't. But they're going to be better than what they looked through the first 5 games of the season, right? I think they could be a contender, but I think it'll be tough unless they go out and get some more hype on the team, get some more hype. Because the problem is, now again, they're competitive with George and Embiid, but the problem is when George is not in the game, they're too small. They're just too small. At one point, they had Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey out there trying to guard, and they were just too small on the perimeter. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. But I'll be back to chat with y'all later. Peace.